Why is modern shonen so depressing? If you're like me, who grew up at the height of popularity of the big three, you know that classic shonen series were marked by their light and optimistic tones. They were filled with a sense of adventure, hope, and moral clarity. These narratives with idealistic protagonists, straightforward storylines, and themes of friendship and perseverance had undoubtedly more positive and uplifting viewing experience. In contrast to the darker and more complex modern shonen series, the old ones maintained an atmosphere of simplicity that often was complemented with darker and mature themes. But it seems that the one thing that set anime apart from Western cartoons have been conducive to people being left with a foul taste of misery in their mouth. And honestly, I love them for that. But maybe this is just me. Let's talk about it. Why do we like anime so much? According to the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it's because of a very specific structure that has been tested and proven to work. That is beyond the fact that Japanese animators actually give a shit about aesthetics. Since the very beginning, shonen anime adaptations have continued to establish the stark difference between our culture, Western, European, and Japanese, which often takes us out of our comfort zones. But how so? Cartoons in the West try to create a perfect world so that children don't have to experience anything before their time. Anime, on the other hand, doesn't try to do that. It doesn't try to protect children from normal life experiences such as suffering or death, and that novelty is very appealing to us. But this isn't just applicable to anime and manga, but also comic books. An example is Zack Snyder's greedier version of the DC universe, which I prefer over the happy-go-lucky approach to superheroes that Disney Marvel popularized. That being said, particularly within the shonen genre targeted at a young male audience, a new group of series known as the Dark Trio has surfaced, offering a more mature and darker perspective compared to traditional shonen jump stories. This trio includes Jujutsu Kaisen featuring Satoru Gojo, Chainsaw Man starring Denji, and Hell's Paradise with Gabimaru. Yes, I just referred to Gojo as the JJK protagonist. Anime series span a wide range of ideas and demographics, from Yu Yu Hakusho to Death Note and Gintama. Over the years, different trends have shaped this series, leading to the emergence of the current Dark Trio, and this trio is seen as the modern counterpart to the previous Big Three, which included One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. While the Big Three are known for their energy and optimism, the Dark Trio is distinguished by its darker and more mature storytelling, adding nuances that enhance the complexity of their narrative. The protagonists of the Dark Trio, Denji, Gabimaru, and Itadori Yuji, are fairly different to classic shonen heroes like Luffy, Ichigo, or Naruto. While the latter are light-hearted and inspiring, the Dark Trio characters are more tortured, and you guessed it, dark. They are driven by a sense of hopelessness in a disconnection from the world around them. Violence and brutality are prominent elements in the Dark Trio stories, which is an interesting diversion to the Big Three's softer approach. And this new trend of series also has a stronger connection to the horror genre, with frightening monsters and supernatural themes that are less prevalent in series like One Piece and Naruto, though they are quite present in Bleach, which just so happens to be one of the greatest deciding factors as to why we have the Dark Trio today. The differences between the Dark Trio and the Big Three extend beyond their storytelling approach. While the Big Three series are known for their long runtimes, the Dark Trio opts for shorter and more concise stories. This distinction allows the Dark Trio to explore their themes in a more focused and intense manner. Perhaps because the average anime and manga fan has gotten older over the years, many find the new Holy Trinity to be appealing and see the usual fight for justice stories in a world where everything goes right as a bit outdated and generic. Shows like Hell's Paradise and Jujutsu Kaisen, where even the main characters' lives and deaths are uncertain, keep fans on edge. The Dark Trio stories have been well received, with fans wanting more. Chainsaw Man is admired for its unique dark humor and blend of horror, while Hell's Paradise and Jujutsu Kaisen have been praised for their take on the supernatural genre. I know that trends are set based on preferences, but in terms of popularity, even though the Dark Trio is gaining prominence, they still haven't surpassed the monumental success of the Big Three. Manga sales and anime film box office receipts indicate that despite the Dark Trio's rapid growth, the Big Three continue to have a wider reach. Bleach specifically is the biggest responsible for this massive change, influencing the narrative structure of future shonen series, as well as the visual style, which has been emulated by many other modern shonen series. Jujutsu Kaisen, for instance, features similarly dark and haunting designs for its cursed spirits, much similar to the Hollows, as well as a color palette that enhances the series' grim mood, and profound themes such as freedom, identity, and the human condition. The series engaged their audiences with intricate plots and dark, thought-provoking content, but the question remains, does these changes make these series better? The well-known debate between the past and the present often resurfaces repeatedly. It's like that ancient Greek myth where a golden age is followed by a silver one and then a bronze one, representing a continuous decline of humanity. Some fans view the anime industry similarly, as being in a state of continuous decline, where everything in the past was much better. This perception could perhaps be attributed to pure nostalgia. And we still need to discuss the anime people have seen and enjoyed. Works that pleased you rightfully remain in your memory, while those that didn't capture your attention you likely stopped watching as a child and thus don't remember now, 10 or 20 years later. Nowadays, there are far more anime than before, so it's only logical to expect that there will be a lot more subpar content as well, simply because there is a greater quantity of everything. The fundamental problem here is the sample size if we want to analyze the overall quality of an era based on all its works, and even based on the ratio of good to bad works, it becomes a Herculean task that is likely impractical and doomed to failure. However, we can reduce the sample size. Instead of evaluating each time individually to determine whether it's good or bad, we can look for certain patterns and recurrences in the anime to provide an overview of the time period in which they were produced. This will give us a general overview, not a complete one. For instance, we don't need to see every shonen adaptation from the 1990s and 2000s to conclude that there was a trend for longer anime at the time. Similarly, we don't need to watch every anime released in the last 5 years to determine that series with 12 to 24 episodes currently prevail. All this is to say that most discussions on the subject are likely to boil down to personal taste and nostalgia. In short, we don't know if anime today is better or worse. Making an objective comparison would be incredibly difficult, and honestly, even if we had the patience to make thematic comparisons between, say, the 1980s and the 2000s, we'd likely find that anime generally improved in some areas, declined in others, just changed in some, and remained the same in others. So, was it better in the past? It depends on the individual, what each person values, what each person prefers, and their experiences in childhood. All that plays a role. In my opinion, any attempt to definitively answer this question is doomed to failure from the start. Categorizing an era as better or worse than another is inherently flawed. Best and worse are not objectively defined concepts. They vary drastically from person to person. The past is a foreign country. They do things differently there.